Welcome to every students of this theory class which are generally attending here. Today, I would like to say about the one organism which one belongs under the kingdom Protista and subphylum Sporozoa, class the Pterospora, subclass known as the Coccidae, and order is known as Eucoccidae. Suborder is known as the Hymenopterina, and genus is named as the Plasmodium, and species is known as Vivax. Again, listen the taxonomic position and systematic position of this animal. This animal belongs under the phylum Protozoa, okay, and subphylum Sporozoa, class you are known as the Telosporia. Subclass is known as Coccidia, order is known as Eucoccidia, and suborder is known as the Hemosporina, and genus is known as Plasmodium, and species is known as Vivax. Students, you know the Plasmodium Vivax, which one causes the Vivax malaria fever, and that malaria fever generally caused by this organism. It is a causing agent. It is a parasitic organism. It depends upon the two different hosts, so it is called as digenic organism. It generally need one host, which one is called as the human being or like the vertebrate organism. Other one is called as carrier host, or also be called as secondary host. That host would be known as your vector like female Anopheles mosquito. The members of subphylum Sporozoa are all parasites without organelles of locomotion as adult. These are either the intra or intercellular parasite of both the invertebrates and vertebrates, and many of them are the conjunctive organism of the dreadful disease like malaria, various cattle fevers, coccidiosis in chicken, and your epidemic deaths is the cultivated, the honeybees and silkworms, etc. Students, you see, this is very serious fever. Generally, human beings are suffering by that fever, and actually, its causing agent is known as Plasmodium Vivax. Most interesting, the Sporozoan genus is Plasmodium, where 60 known species cause the malaria in man and other animals. Because of their malarial causing abilities, the species are commonly referred to as malaria parasites. Students, please you keep your attention towards this parasite, and this parasite when comes to our bloodstream, immediately it comes to the one lymphatic organ, which one is called as the liver. Liver is known as the larger exocrine gland. Generally in there, the reserve foods are stored in the form of glycogen, and the parasite is interested to consume to them. All these rejects in the red blood corpuscles and reproduce in them and destroy them, and mosquitoes are the transmitting agents as a vectors of the malaria parasite. You see, in our locality, you find 4 types of species which are very common, and they are named as your Plasmodium Vivax, Plasmodium ovale, Plasmodium malariae, and Plasmodium falciparum. In Angul town, you see the people are generally suffering the 2 types of fevers. One cerebral fevers, other one is the common malarial fevers. Common malaria fevers caused by the Plasmodium vivax, but the cerebral fever, that one generally caused by the Plasmodium falciparum. The following description belongs to the Plasmodium vivax in particular, and which is the most common type of malaria parasite. You already knew about the systematic position or taxonomic position. The modern taxonomy is to keep to this parasite in a specific kingdom, and that kingdom is known as here Protista. In Protista, this animal belongs, and in their phylum is known as the Apicomplexa as per the modern classification, and class is known as your Sporozoa, and genus you know, that is called Plasmodium, and species is known as the Vivax. Okay, and you know about the distribution of the Plasmodium, and it is widely distributed, and the geographical distribution in the species of the Plasmodium is widespread in tropical and subtropical and temperate countries, and where the migratory birds are the hosts and the parasites are the spread all over the world. And of the human infecting parasites, Plasmodium vivax is the most widely distributed, and it prevails and mainly in the temperate regions of the world. The Plasmodium falciparum is confined to the only warmer parts of the country, and the species like the Plasmodium malariae follows the Plasmodium vivax in distribution. Plasmodium ovale, though widespread in generally that the rarest species are generally affected to the very rare animals like the birds also be affected by them. You know about the life cycle of the Plasmodium vivax. I already depicted the Plasmodium vivax, also be known as malaria fever parasite. It's a right expression. Sometimes some people also be called as the malarial parasite. But actually, the latter description or subscription is not actually perfect in expression. And usually, people call to them as malaria fever parasite. The organism is known as Plasmodium vivax. It is one endoparasite, remains inside our body. Generally, blood cells and your liver cells are affected by them, and so that is also called as intracellular parasite due to remaining in your elementary kennel of the mosquito. In that time, that is called as intercellular parasite. However, due to remaining inside the viscera of the invertebrate as well as vertebrate, we people say to them as the endoparasite. Let us know about the life cycle of the Plasmodium vivax. You see, your Plasmodium vivax is the most common of the human infecting malaria fever parasite, and it is your causative organism of the Benjaminian or the Vivax malaria, which is characterized by a 48 hours cycle between the first malaria fever and subsequent the recurrence of the chills and fever, and it is an intracellular parasite in man, living in the red blood corpuscles and liver cells, while the extracellular in case of the mosquito's body, and living in the alimentary canal and salivary glands in them. Let us know about the hosts of this organism. It depends upon the 2 different hosts. One must be invertebrate, other must be vertebrate. Invertebrate one is the mosquito itself. Female Anopheles mosquito's body is known as the host of it, and that is carrier host, and that is vector host, the otherwise called as secondary host. But the body of the human being is known as the primary and target host. You see, and due to depends upon the two different hosts, we people call to that kind of parasite are the name of the digenetic parasite. The life cycle of the Vivax is very complicated, and being digenetic, it is completed in two hosts, and man and mosquito. M for man, M for mosquito. And first one is the man. Man generally is the target host. The asexual cycle is passed in the man in the two phases. First phase in the liver cells is called the liver schizophrenia, and it involves in multiplier fission and forming the merozoites at the end. And the second phase is the completed in the red blood corpuscles, and it is known as the erythrocyte schizophrenia, which forms the gametocytes at the end. Students, and this is the asexual cycle which are complete within the body of the principal host, or you say target host or final host, and that is named as the man. And second kind host is the invertebrate one. I already depicted, that is the female Anopheles mosquito, and in it generally the parasite will be remaining in the salivary gland, as well as sometimes also be eliminated canal of it. And the sexual cycle generally completed in there. Sexual cycle is completed in the female Anopheles mosquito, and it also involves the two phases. One is called as gametogony, other one is called as the sporogony. These two types of subcycles also remaining in there. Gametogony is concerned with the production of the gametes. Okay, and generally that is concerned with the formation of the gametes, and gametes usually help in the propagation. And you see, in the gametogony is concerned with the production and fusion of the gametes, whereas the sporogony is the post-zygotic multiplication resulting in the formation of your infective individuals, that is called as the sporozoites. Okay, let us come to know about detail about the asexual cycle of the Plasmodium Vivax in man. First of all, you know about the infection. The infection generally starting from the one healthy human being, and they will be infected, and that actually the causing agent brings from the body of the one infected person to one healthy person by the help of one carrier host, or that is also called as vector host, that is named as the female Anopheles mosquito. A healthy person acquires the infection when a female Anopheles mosquito containing the infective stage of the parasite, and that stage which will innervate to the healthy body, that is called sporozoite. Sporozoite is the infective stage in case of this parasite, and that one generally remains in the salivary glands initially and bites him, and for sucking the blood in the time that generally the parasite is injected to the body of the healthy person, and he bites him, and for sucking his blood in that time it will be injected into the bloodstream, and generally it will be inverted to the liver cells initially to correct the push, and immediately within a half an hour it will be reached at the liver for their sustenance. And you mark there, generally the liver is the storage house of the glycogen. Glycogen is stored in there, and the parasite generally to receive that kind of food by the proboscis. And you mark the first introduce some saliva into the bloodstream. Along with the saliva, thousands of the sporozoites contained therein are also be inoculated, and people generally which are affected by them, and generally they will be infected, and they will be called as the patients. And initially you cannot find any type of symptoms at the time of the biting, but after a few days you find the symptoms in there. And purpose of the pouring the saliva is the check and clotting of the blood, and as it contains an anticoagulant. Then you know about the sporozoites. Sporozoites generally represent the infective form of the parasite. These are small spindle-shaped and slightly curved or sickle-shaped and also uninucleate and organisms and measuring about 11 to 12 micron in length or 0.5 to 1 micron in width or in diameter. And if you reveal to them, their body is no doubt is a straight one, it is a little bit curved, just like the sickle in shape. And it is embedded by one membrane that is called as pellicle. And pellicle must be seen in there. And you see, you take the help of the electron microscope and reveals the complicated or gross anatomy of the sporozoid. You must find externally covering in its body, which is the form and also the elastic by nature, that is nothing, that is called as pellicle, which contains your longitudinally arranged the contractile microtubules and for the wriggling movement, and at the anterior end is the apical cap, and which one is generally made up of the 3 or more the concentric rings are also there, and into which your secretory fluids organelles, and these are generally supposed to be secretes the lytic juice in the facility to the penetration into the liver cells, and the micropyle generally present or represent and in the cytostome just of the other the perforations in the protozoans, and many your convoluted tubules also be seen in there. We people are obscured about their functions, and you mark there in their bodies you must find a single vesicular nucleus, and usually there is located the nucleus inside it, and you mark there the mitochondria also be present within the cytoplasm. The cell is no doubt is called as eukaryotic by nature, and it is very active, and this stage, the sporozoid stage, is called as the infective stage of the malaria parasite. Then you know about the liver schizophrenia. I already depicted to you the parasite would move in the bloodstream for a half an hour. After half an hour, it must reach at the liver lobes, and liver is hepatic organ. In there you find the hepatic cells are present, and within the hepatic cells generally glycogen remain as the reserve foods, and these are very liking food for the parasite, and parasite also consume to them. And first of all, you know about the schizophrenia, which one causes inside the liver. That is called as liver schizophrenia. Once within the human blood, the sporozoids circulate for about half an hour and then get into the liver to invade the hepatic cells. Here they multiply asexually by the schizophrenia. The liver schizophrenia has the two phases, pre-erythrocytic and exoerythrocytic schizophrenia. The pre-erythrocytic phase, after penetrating a hepatic cell, each sporozoid becomes a cryptozoid. It grows for a number of days and becomes a spherical and non-pigmented schizoid, and it is divided by the schizogony. That means in there you have seen the multiple fission and forms a large number of the uninucleate cells and the cryptomerozoites, and their reported number of the varies from 1,000 to several thousands, and they are liberated when the liver cells burst. And this is the end of the pre-erythrocytic phase. And during the pre-erythrocytic cytogony, the blood remains sterile and the inoculation does not produce infection. Then after it, you find the exoerythrocytic phase, and cryptomerozoites enters fresh liver cells to become the metacryptozoites, and they undergo the cytogony similar to the previous one and producing the enormous number of the metacryptomerozoites, and this may be repeated several times, and each time new liver cells are infected. All these, the succeeding the cytogonic division are referred to as the erythrocytic or called as the phanerozoid cytogony. The free and exoerythrocytic phase of the parasite remains the immune to the resistance of the host, and the parasite are not the susceptible to the action of any anti-malarial drugs. Also, a little damage to the host is done during this stage. Then after it you find the pre-patent and incubation period, and the duration between the initial sporozoid, the infection, and the appearance of the parasite in the blood is termed the patent period, and it also varies from species to species, being about 8 days in case of the Plasmodium Vivax. The period between the infection and appearance of the first malarial symptoms is called as the incubation period, which is about 10 to 17 days. Average takes the 14 days in case of the Plasmodium Vivax. Okay, and this is the total description of your liver cytogony. Okay, then after that, the blood cell will be invaded by the parasite. In that type of cytogony which will develop in the RBCs and called as erythrocytic cytogony. Thank you all.